Think about the last time you bought a coffee. Seems simple, right? Well, in that one little transaction, you're actually taking part in this huge, complex, global dance of money and goods. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how that dance works.
Yeah, it can totally feel like that, right? All this jargon and these crazy acronyms. But what if I told you we could crack that code? That we can actually see how it all fits together, nice and simple? Well, that's exactly what we're about to do.
Okay, so first things first. How do you even measure something as massive as an entire national economy? I mean, how do you take its pulse? Well, you need one big, powerful number, a single vital sign that tells you if it's healthy, if it's sick, if it's booming or busting.
And that number, the one you hear about all the time, is gross domestic product. You know, GDP. Just think of it like this. Imagine adding up the price tag of everything your country produces in a year. From a single loaf of bread to a giant skyscraper, all of it. That total price tag, that's GDP. It's really the ultimate scoreboard for an economy, and it's the number we're going to build our whole model around.
All right, so we've got our big number, GDP. But where does it actually come from? Like, how is all that value created day in and day out? To figure that out, we have to build the core engine of the economy. And the best way to do that? Just follow the money.
So when you boil it all down, the economy is really just this constant flow between two main groups. On one side, you have us, people, households. And on the other, you have the businesses that make all the stuff we want and need. We'll call them firms.
And it works in a really simple loop. Step 1. We work for the firms, and they pay us our income. Wages, salaries. Step 2. We take that money and go shopping, buying the goods and services the firms produce. See? The money flows from them to us and then right back to them. It's this perfect, self-sustaining circle of cash.
Okay, but we all know the real world isn't that perfect, right? It's messy. So that perfect little circle of ours, it's got some leaks. And on the flip side, it also gets some surprise boosts of cash from other places.
The best way to think about this is like a plumbing system. For real. You've got these withdrawals. That's money leaking out of the main flow. But then you also have injections. That's like opening up a new tap and pumping fresh money into the system.
So where are these leaks coming from? Well, there are three big ones. First, savings. Any money you earn but don't spend, you just stick it in the bank? That's a leak. Second, taxes. When the government takes its share, that money is pulled out of the immediate spending loop. Another leak. And third, imports. You buy a phone made in another country, your money just left the national plumbing system. That's a big leak.
Okay, so what about the boosts, the injections? Well, there are three main faucets here too. First, investment. A company builds a new factory or buys a bunch of new computers. That's a massive injection of spending. Second, government spending. The government builds a new hospital or a bridge. That's another big injection. And finally, exports. When another country buys stuff that we make, their money flows into our system. That's a huge boost.
And here's the absolute key to this whole thing. For an economy to be stable and healthy, it needs balance. The money leaking out has to be balanced by the money being pumped in. When injections equal withdrawals, that's the sweet spot. That's equilibrium. That's a happy economy.
All right, so now we've got all our building blocks, right? We have the core loop, we have the leaks, and we have the boosts. So let's put it all together and see how this whole machine connects back to that one big number we started with, GDP.
So you've probably seen this formula before. C plus I plus G plus X minus M. It looks intimidating, but it's really just a shopping list for the entire country. C is all the stuff we consumers buy. I is for investment, all the stuff businesses buy. G is for government spending. And that last bit, X minus M, that's just our net exports, what we sell to the world minus what we buy from them. Add all that spending up, and boom, you've got GDP.
And check this out. This is what it looks like with real numbers from the UK. What's absolutely fascinating here is just how dominant that C is. Consumer spending. It's over 65%. That tells you the whole system basically runs on people like you and me going out and shopping. And look at the net exports. It's a negative number. That means the UK is buying more from the rest of the world than it's selling to them. Pretty interesting snapshot, right?
Okay, so we said a balanced economy is a happy economy. But what happens when it gets unbalanced? When the leaks and the boosts don't match up? Well, that's when you run into the two biggest problems in all of macroeconomics.
Let's go back to our machine analogy. What happens if the injections are way bigger than the withdrawals? If you're pumping way more money in than is leaking out? The whole thing overheats. You get too much money chasing too few goods, and prices just shoot up. That's inflation. On the other hand, what if the leaks are bigger than the injections? That means there isn't enough spending to buy up all the stuff being produced. The machine sputters and stalls out, and that leads to slowdowns and, you guessed it, unemployment.
Okay, so we've seen how the system works and how it can break, but there's one last piece to this puzzle we need to talk about. And honestly, this idea is a total game changer. It's this powerful concept that a small injection of new money can create a huge wave of economic activity. It's like a ripple effect.
So, let's run a little thought experiment. Let's say the government decides to inject an extra £100 million into the economy to, I don't know, build some new schools. What happens next?
Okay, so that £100 million hits the system. Now you might think, great, the economy is now £100 million bigger. But that's not where the story ends. Not even close. Something way more powerful is about to happen.
See, that first $100 million gets paid to construction workers and suppliers as income. Now what do? They don't just stuff it under a mattress. They save a bit, but they spend the rest at local shops, restaurants, whatever. Now that spending becomes the income for the shop owners and their employees. And what do? They save a bit and spend the rest. And on it goes. Each round of spending is a little smaller than the last, but it keeps going. It's like dropping a stone in a pond. The ripples just keep spreading out.
And this incredible chain reaction has a name. It's called the multiplier effect. It's one of the most powerful concepts in economics. It means that an initial injection of spending leads to a much, much larger final increase in the total national income.
So what decides how big that final ripple gets? Well, it all comes back to our leaks. The more money that leaks out in each round, through savings, taxes, or buying imports, the faster the ripple fades away. A really leaky economy will have a small multiplier, while a less leaky one will have a much bigger one.
Which brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? If this ripple effect is so powerful, why can't we just use it to solve every single economic problem? Why doesn't the government just inject a ton of cash every time there's a slowdown? Well, what's the catch? And the catch, as we saw, is overheating. It's a constant balancing act, using that powerful multiplier to boost growth without tipping the scales into runaway inflation. That's the tightrope every policymaker has to walk. And now, you know how it works.